This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
You know how sometimes the first play of the game can be a real tone setter?
Aussie.
Yeah, I basically just went with Ashton Jen Teabag.
NFL.
He's not a walking 7 for 70 as I learned last week when he went 1 for 5.
Fantasy.
I'd probably lean towards taking Henry maybe ahead of McCaffrey just because of what I've seen.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Loading.
Australia's premier NFL fantasy football show is back for the Aussie Gridiron Network. This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. And to kickstart us starting week 6, I'm glad you're making time in your day for us. They call me Matty C, and joining me for this weird week of results and a few mega days out for some players is Australia's finest fantasy analyst. It's time to welcome back Taylor.
Matty C, it's week 6, and let's hope the receivers have fingers on their hands instead of dicks. Let's fucking go.
Oh, that is a reference. We've been making that one through the season, the old dicks for fingers.
Shout out to a standard, Aussie slang, dicks for fingers. Just pretty much goes hand in hand, or dicks and dicks, with the podcast and the way that we do here, Matty C.
Oh, well, for anyone who's spending time in Australia, they'll know that one. Like, mate, what do you got, dicks for fingers? Like, it's just such a part of the vernacular, right?
Know what I mean? Yeah, the Aussie dictionary or the Aussie thesaurus. We'll get that back out of here.
Not here to dick fingers. It's classic here. Everyone says it.
The Poetry Society they just sit there and they just absolutely love it with their dick fingers over there.
Yeah, there we go. And there's a dick thumb up right there. Thanks for that, Poetry Society. So, mate, we've been off to a tearing good start this year with just how many folks have spent time with us as well. The network's been on the grow, and we're just really grateful for everyone who has come by and spent some time with us in these first 6 weeks of the fantasy season, plus all that time we spent in the preseason. And, mate, you spent a lot of time this year talking about trying to use last season's data, try and help you make some ways forward for this fantasy season. And then over time, you've been blending in, well, let's take where a team ranked with things last year, plus a bit of this year. Now we're starting to get some reliable data and a big enough sample size. It's just kind of the point of the season where now you can start to really lean on this year's data a bit.
Yeah, it is. Week 6, I've kind of always said that I start to take this year's data more so because, yes, it's still a smaller sample size than all of 2024, but I still think it starts to give you a better idea than last year because obviously teams change. Like, I'll give you one example that has massively changed. Like the Baltimore Ravens were horrendous to run against last year. So if you actually looked at their data from last year, it'll say that they were a bad defense to actually play a running back against. But obviously because of personnel changes and ridiculous amount of injury, they are actually like a team you want to play against with your running back this year. So stuff like that happens. It's pretty kind of silly to even like impact it with last year's data at all. And so, yes, after say 2 or 3 weeks, I still don't think that's enough. But now, after 5 solid weeks of kind of seeing it, it's given enough time for those outliers to sort of even out for me. And what I've actually started doing, and this, I think I kind of started doing this last year around this time as well, is what I do is I kind of throw away the tab in my phone when I'm doing research that's 2024 data. And what I actually start doing is I don't just look at fantasy. This is very specific to running back, but what I do is I don't only just look at fantasy success and what teams are doing against fantasy running backs. I actually go and look at data in terms of the yardage given up to running backs in general from that team. Because what I think sometimes is we look at running back fantasy data and we go, oh, this team's getting hammered by fantasy running backs, but it's mainly because of touchdowns. And it's not actually a prescriptive thing where they're actually getting hammered by the actual running back in terms of like yardage. So I like to actually blend in what is this team doing defensively against the rushing attacks and how many yards they're actually giving up per game, because I think that can be more indicative of like future success for running backs as well.
I also got to look at too, especially in a situation like that for running backs. That's an excellent piece of news, but I think something you can extrapolate out a little further is that often too, just whether a team's winning or losing will influence how much a team accepts, rushing against them or how often they'll be rushing versus how much they'll have teams passing on them or how much they'll be passing as well. So if you can sort of project that 2 teams will be actually in a bit of a tussle, even though one has been winning more and one has been losing more, then it can actually help you unlock some good fantasy days where maybe other folks are just kind of looking and going, well, they're a bottom 10 defense. You're like, well, maybe they actually match up against this side a little better and you can kind of unlock it a bit. And I think everyone at this stage of the year starts to get their little roadmap to success out. And mate, in some leagues it's easy because you got a good start, and others it's a bucket of arseholes. I've definitely had a couple of leagues where I'm having to battle from the bottom to get myself back. You actually really like that battle, I understand, Tay. Sometimes you get into a league where you get off to a slightly dodgy start, and then you got to really lean on the knowledge and really start pressing the trades to get yourself back.
Yeah, those are generally the leagues. I remember even last year when I was, lucky enough and had that amazing year where I was able to make the playoffs in all 13 leagues. It was one of those things where when I would fall behind, like if I go to 2 and 4 or something like that, that's where my focus actually shifted to those leagues. I know people are often the opposite where they go, shit, I'm 5 and 1 in this one. This one will really get my focus because I really want to ram this home and I'm the best chance of winning this league. I do the opposite. I really want to try and be decent in all of my leagues. So if I've got one that's kind of falling by the wayside, and I do believe that there's sort of an ability to get back, I'll definitely have that league be my focus, especially over the next couple of weeks, just so I can try and even things out a bit across all my leagues.
Yeah, I do like the idea of putting that effort into the leagues where you think, even if you're off to a slow start, that you could, somehow try and turn it around. I think it's just good for the old ego too to go, see if I focus, I can do it, instead of just getting off the hot start and trying to make sure you murder everyone and put them all to the sword. Because, that's fun in its own way, isn't it, Tay?
Oh, of course, mate. We try to be all mates, off the fantasy football field, but when we get on there, it really is just trying to destroy each other and making them go crying home to their mama.
100%, mate. There's nothing quite like pasting your best mate by fucking 40 points and telling him to shove it up his ass, is there? It's just, chef's kiss.
Yeah, 100%, mate. That's exactly what we're all here for.
That's it, mate. Hey, speaking of, I definitely had a couple of leagues where that happened to me in the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show leagues. We've got 4 of these leagues, the Gold League, the Green League, because, Aussie, and then a Red and Blue League as well. Mate, I've got some updates from my leagues, but do you want to give me a quick rundown on the Gold and Green, Gold and Blue Leagues first?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to win both of my matchups. I had a pretty good week in both leagues actually. So
lovely.
That felt pretty good because I got off to a couple of slow starts in the leagues, but it was nothing that I thought I was going to be too far behind in. Basically, I've got the same record in both leagues. So in the Blue League, shout out to @FatWatts, who I think has been in front the entire way. He's tied with @WillMurph 03. They're both 4 and 1, and it's just 23 points that's separating. And giving Fat Watts the lead. As I said, I'm 4th, 3 and 2, so not going too bad there. And in the Gold League, we have one person, still Cam the Beanbag Man. He's gone to 5 and 0.
Really?
Our boy Kev, he took a scheduled loss. He had a shitload of guys on buys and stuff, so he dropped to 4 and 1, but he's still second. So he's actually got the most points for in the league. So he's sitting there in second. And I lied. I'm actually 2 and 3 in this league. I dropped to 1 and 3 last week, so I won, but I went to dunks.
Yeah.
I'm sitting right on the edge of the playoffs in 7th for the moment. So yeah, definitely one that I'll keep an eye on and obviously try pushing forward. But like I said, shout out to Cam and Kev. They've kind of been the good 2 that have been leading the way the entire time. I'll give a shout out to Michael Poe as well. He's 4 and 1 as well, so he's 3rd, equal with Kev there. Just about behind by about 50 points in points for. But I thought I'd give him a little shout out as well, because it's generally been me just giving Cam and Kev a shout out every single week. So it's going well, and everyone seems keen on the league. So yeah, congratulations to everyone doing well, and hopefully the guys like me that are sitting just outside the playoffs keep working hard to get themselves up there.
Yeah, I bet you that there's no small amount of pleasure in knowing that they're currently keeping you boxed out of that. So I'm kind of finding that I'm getting people's best shot a little bit, and that people are really pretty happy to give me a bunch of shit when they beat me, which I love because, I'm taunting them in the lead up with, pretty benign insults on the way into these games. But the joy is there, and there's a lot of fun in these leagues, and I'm enjoying the heck out of them. The Green League saw me sneak by Kevin AU86 by just a mere handful of points, and it helps keep me in 3rd place at 3 and 2. But we've still got 2 undefeated teams in that league. Josh, you are 1994, and Boyd, the medical tent, both still 5-0, making a mockery of us all and 2 games ahead. This week, I'll line up against at Rabbits Burrow, so we'll see how that one goes. But in the Red League, I was off to a real flyer because on Thursday night, I had Devontae Adams and Kyron, and I went and gave Random McSupercob a whole bunch of shit. This is Tom from that league. And he sort of came back saying, mate, nice of you to do that once you've just had, a 30 burger from Kyron. Like, where was this the day before that? You were clearly not that confident. Like, fair enough. And he actually ran me down. So I've dropped to 2 and 3 in that league. And I line up against Dylan Murray this week, his team Henry in the Hamptons. Will clearly be without the Hamptons for a while. So we'll see how he lines up after waivers. But this is a league where undefeated is no longer a thing either. Rob Symes took down our last undefeated in that league, Jai L2, but Jai L2 still on top, 4-1, the only 4-1 in that league as well. So a very even Red League. And look, the winners in these leagues, or the person to finish highest behind you and I, Tay, is going to take home a pretty cool AGN prize pack of stuff from our merch store. So thank you everyone for enjoying and joining those leagues with us. And Tay, I reckon we've got so much to get through tonight, and we've got I reckon we've probably got the best guest to do this. We talked a little earlier about how we've got just enough information now to really rely on this year's data and help us make decisions informed in what we've seen this year and what we can see is coming. It's the time of year where we start talking about players on your roster who you might kind of think is a good opportunity to get out of, and some people around the league that are probably worthwhile going and knocking on the owner's door and seeing if you can just get a share of, because we can sort of see this green pastures ahead. We do this every year about this time of year, and I get a ton out of it. Tay, on this show in the past too, you've done a bunch of following through with the players that you've called out, and you've seen some great success in your leagues from actually putting the rubber to the road and going out and getting the guys that you've been talking about.
Absolutely. You and I kind of chatted about this last week. We thought, should we do it in week 5? And I kind of thought about it, and honestly goes towards what you just said about I normally wait till about week 6 to actually look at this year's data. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand in doing this. This is around the time where I kind of heat up in terms of trade offers and really trying to sort of maneuver guys and having a look at guys that I think sort of have hit their peak in terms of their trade market and their trade position and they're out there in the market. And guys that I think are lowly, touted, and guys that I think I could get a good price on. So, I mean, it's very stock markety, but it's just a good thing to sort of take note. And you and I have done this for years and years. I think it's been one of our oldest segments that we've always done. And you and I have both come up with had some really good success from guys. But I've always, you say, you've done this in the past where you've put out offers for these guys. I've literally sent about 4 or 5 offers for at least one of these guys that I've wrote down for this segment tonight already. So I always put my money where my mouth is when it comes to this segment, because it's kind of one of my favorite ones. We'll probably do it again around week 11, week 12. We'll work out sort of where the most trade deadlines are. But honestly, I couldn't have thought of a better person to bring on as a guest for this, because you and I have kind of had it as our baby. Like, we've often just like you and I have kind of just done this together ourselves, just as a bit of a like homage to our old days. But I think this is the perfect person or perfect guest to actually bring on, because he's only going to bring extra to this. So it's going to be great.
G'day, Gridiron.
Anyone that hasn't joined us before, it's pretty simple. Let's kick it off, eh? Is everyone ready?
The 4 horsemen of NFL in Australia.
If the sound ever plays, the pick is officially in.
Nick the lineman.
So it's the worst against any team, and it's also the worst passer rating that he has against any team at 66.3.
Brad the coach.
The Steelers have held the Ravens under 20 points in 7 straight games.
Isaac the analyst.
For this one, I couldn't understand it either. Like, I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Ian the Viking.
Full of passion, full of fight. They might genuinely be interesting to watch again.
Previews, overreactions, and bloody best bets.
If Derrick Henry can get rolling, then I think it's no contest. The Ravens are going to win.
As a fan of the NFL, you hope he comes back, because he's just an absolute beast when he gets on there.
That would be able to give, at least Justin Fields a chance to be able to build.
Let's move on. After that insanity.
So I just think, though, it's going to stop here.
Defensively for the Bills, I don't think that's actually going to combat what the Chiefs do already.
Yeah, I guarantee Pete would get down on his knees for that.
G'day, Gridiron.
I love spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet man.
I love spreading my legs.
Twice a week, all season long on the Aussie Gridiron Network.
No better time to bring in our esteemed guest. And this bloke, mate, he even got to don the ivory, the cream, the bone, the off-white, the white, whatever jacket is that we're wearing on this show when you were away unexpectedly 1 week earlier in the year, and he slid straight into the guest host role. in the show where we even brought my baby brother on, and did a fantastic job of it. So, look, without further ado, let's bring in the croc hunter, Kev, who, mate, you've just become a large part of what we do here at the network, and you seem to be bloody involved in everything these days, mate.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, old witch, the Taylor's guillotine witch. He finally lost his head, Matty, but I'm back.
No, that did not happen, did it?
Yeah, it made me feel a bit better about losing my undefeated gold league streak. But yeah, he finally lost in the guillotine league. But shout out to Taylor, mate. That was quite a run.
It was funny because when you're in that many guillotines, right, you kind of just look at your own score, and I don't go as in-depth to look at everyone else's out throughout the entire week. And I noticed that my lowest score in all the leagues was like 135, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get knocked out here. Then all of a sudden, like, I went to Taronga Zoo with our guest that'll come on next week, but I didn't even honestly look at anyone else's scores, and I got home, and I'm like, 135 was my lowest. That should be right. And then I didn't even know still until I checked, like, some of the sleeper notifications from like the day earlier, and it was just like this whole thing from Kev about fucking day 41 to 34 weeks, blah blah blah. I'm like, fuck, and then I looked at my team and it was empty. I'm like, shit, I don't know how this feels. Well, losing my head, this is fucking bullshit.
All it is, say that league doesn't exist now. Look, ask me about 0.5 guillotine. That died. Except the fact I've still got to run it. It died.
Yeah. No,
I was out of that 2 weeks ago, mate. I sold Justin Jefferson to you, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah.
I scored 185 the first week, and then the next week Derek Henry and everyone else shit the bed, and I ended up with like 72 points and got knocked out.
Yeah, I think you and I went back to back in that league, Kev. Just boom, boom.
Yeah.
See you later.
Though, like, I feel pretty good in the knowledge that my like the one time I've been knocked out of a guillotine league, I scored 130 fucking 5. Like, so it's not like I exactly put up an absolute stinker. So yeah, well, it's one of those things. There's definitely it's definitely hard to sort of maintain 6 fucking guillotine leagues and try your head in all of them. So I'm still pretty happy 5 weeks in, keeping my head in 5 out of 6. So we'll see how we go from here, but I'm hoping that hasn't like broken the seal and I just fucking lose my head in all of them.
Broken the seal.
The executioner acts it out, Tay. Watch out.
Oh, fuck, you're going to get tried for all your football crimes.
I've definitely got a couple I'm not exactly stoked with. I'm looking at it like some of these ones you're starting 3 flexes. I'm like, fuck, man. I've done all these like bids and like gone down to like $30 I'm like, how does my team still look like shit?
Yeah. Like, why the fuck have I still got Chris Rodriguez in a starting spot? Like,
what's Torrey Horton, like my wide receiver 1?
What is going on? Yeah, so the depth of some of these leagues is just it's absurd. But I think that's kind of this year has been a lot of fun for that because we've dug deep into some pretty interesting scoring leagues and interesting roster size leagues, and I've got Kev to blame for a lot of getting him into that. And mate, you're
all of it.
You're always looking for new formats and new ways to play. And thank you for dragging
us. Wait till next year's one.
We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this off the side, Kevin and I.
I just wish I thought about it 4 weeks earlier. We could have been playing it now.
Yeah. Do you want to just start it up and we'll just play the last 8 weeks? It's fine. It's fine.
You would have enough league.
Okay. No, we're absolutely degenerates. Listen to us. It's just, could you start it anyway?
Just do it.
Fellas, we're going to dive into this great segment where we talk about players who we can see there's green pastures for, who may have been off to a slightly rougher start, or even if they've been around expectation, that we can see really about to blow the doors right off. And then other guys, we can kind of hear the shark music. We can kind of hear things aren't looking so great there, and we think it's a good opportunity to try and get out of them before the bottom falls out. And we go through this every year. It's something that, as Tay said, he and I have actually kind of done sort of as a 2-man show generally, but I actually remember we had Brad Cummins on for one of these last year, and he was fantastic at it. And I knew that, Kev, you were the man to talk to because we were saying in the green room before, if I gave you 24 hours notice and said, I need you to give me 12 guys you can buy and 12 guys you can sell, I reckon you could just pull the string on Kev's back and out they'd come. He's so well researched. He spends his time so immersed in this sort of stuff that there's just no way that he wouldn't be the best person to come on to do this. So we're really grateful that you're here with us to go through this today, Kev, because it's a really fun segment. It gets people thinking.
Yeah, mate, I'm keen as. It was a bit harder than I thought when I first started, but that's because I kept getting sidetracked looking at stats for other players on the team, and I was like, fuck, I've got to just slow down here.
Is that the ADHD setting in?
Yeah.
We got to found the same thing. But mate, I want to start with you because this is one of the great things when you bring a guest on is that, you know, you've spent time with it and we sort of want to get in our first round where we all sort of produce a player. And I thought the best thing to do would be let's start as an optimist. Let's start with our best buy candidates. Have you got somebody who you think is for you, someone you're really targeting to buy? And why is the situation going to be so good?
Yeah, mate. So my first one will be Drake London. He's currently sitting at wide receiver 33, but you saw just before the bye he went up to about 30-odd points. Michael Penix is targeting the shit out of him. He had 2 weeks injured, so if you got someone that's a bit worried about him, I think he's still a smash top 10 wide receiver. And I think this offense is going to absolutely kill it. If you have a look, they've got a bit of a hard run the next 3 games, but then after that they go Patriots, Indiana, Panthers, Saints, Jets, Seattle, Tampa, Arizona, Rams. Yeah, he's just smashed to win you down into the end and get in the finals.
This is sort of one of these fantastic ones too, that it's not necessarily something you have to go and get him right now. And I like this. It's like, just bide your time, right? We saw you had a couple of lean weeks and then had a boom week. Now he goes on buy and people, if they're thinking about him at all, they're just thinking about how he had that nice uptick week. And all it would take is for him to have one more week now where the plates rattle a bit that you could go and get him, right? That's kind of what you're hoping for?
Yeah, exactly. He's got a couple of tough matchups, more tough for Penix than it is for Drake London himself. But, you know, you bide your time, you put the feelers out, and I reckon you grab him just as they come out of the which one was it? Out of the Niners matchup, they go to play Miami and the Patriots after that. Like, that's where he's a smash start.
Mate, you reckon that's money for Jam-Tay?
Yeah, on number 2 on my low list was Drake London, 135. I actually didn't share the same concerns over the next 3 weeks. I kind of blocked it as someone that I was actually trying to buy now, because my concern was that if you waited, that I think it was going to be too late. And I think coming off the buy, it's actually going to give you the ability to actually buy him now, because people might look at that wide receiver 30-odd number but not think about the fact that it's kind of skewed by the fact he's had a bye. I kind of had written down that, yes, the Bills, technically, when you look at the fantasy data to wide receivers, it's not like an amazing match. I think they're like 10th. But it is going to be a high-scoring game in Atlanta. Like, you've got Josh Allen on the other side, you know, pushing the envelope and keeping the game as a bit of a shootout. I actually think that could be a very, very good game. And what we've kind of seen already within the last 2 years is Atlanta are amazing at home and sketchy on the road. So I feel like the fact they've got 2 of the next 3 at home. You know, Kev mentioned that game against Miami. Miami are 29th in terms of total yards given up across everything. They give up 386.6 yards a game. So that matchup looks awesome. Even the Niners one I'm not so worried about. Yes, it's on the road, but that defense is a bit depleted. There's no Bosa. Obviously, you know, trying to sack the quarterback. They're 15th in total yards given up at 315.6. I just think that actually these 3 matchups aren't that bad, and I would actually try and get in front of it now. So, yeah, I had him on my list as well.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I've completed the triplet there because he was on my list as well for the same reasons. And and this is the thing, I didn't think you had to go and get him now because I didn't mind waiting a week or 2 just to watch him have one more where he scores a dozen or 10-ish, and then you just go, bang, hit it. Because I've got confidence that he'll be fine the rest of the way. He gets the targets. That's I just see the targets and my eyes light up.
Yeah.
He's basically gotten targets in every game he hasn't been injured. Like he had a game where he got injured, then he had a game where he was still injured the next game, and then basically if you took the games outside of those 2, it was like the game 1 where he had 15 targets, and then last game where he had a shitload as well. So he like you said, he's getting targeted. It's an earned stat. I think Penix generally has got a license to just air that thing out. So yeah, I really like him, especially in these home games.
And Kev, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, with the Bills, my concern was more with Penix than it was with London. Just, you know, if they get after him a bit like they did Fields and get a bit of pressure on, I'm not sure how he's going to go. But other than that, if the worst comes there, it's just a check down to Bijan game, really.
Yep. Which, and I think Bijan's an interesting one. I got him on one of my lists a bit later on as well. But I like that, Kev, you come straight out of the gate with one that's really hot. And Tay and I also had him down. And I'm going to circle right back to you to get you to bring up another one. And we'll just see if this is a recurring theme here, mate.
Righto, boys. Breece Hall, buy high, buy low. currently the RB18. He's getting the workhorse role, and that offense is starting to come through. He's getting about 16, 17 points a game. He's just sitting below some guys that are a bit more score you 28 and then score you 7 sort of weeks. I think you want to get on board now and absolutely smash that bye, because this week he's got Denver, which is a bit tough, but then he goes Panthers, Bengals. Cleveland are a bit of a tough matchup, but they do give up a few yards to passing backs and backs that run to the outside. Like look at Jimmy Gibbs. And then he goes Patriots, Ravens, Falcons, Miami, Jags, Saints, Patriots to end the year. Like, to me, Breece Hall is probably the best Philo running back on my list.
Yeah, look, like Braylon Allen, he's out for like 10 weeks or something. It could even be the season. Like, it looks like he's completely fucked. And I think that was, him taking that sort of short yardage role and taking touchdowns off him was a big issue, because not only do you already have that with Fields, if you're then, giving that up to Braylon Allen half the time, it just doesn't leave a huge pie for Breece Hall. But that's pretty much been alleviated by that injury. I'm with you. Like, my concern is the team. I know he's a good pass catcher, but I would have rather just see him have a role where he was consistent on the ground a bit more. And the team's 0-5, and they never seem to be in these like leading game scripts, which can be frustrating. But this is all stuff that's happened already. This is why he's a buy low. It's like if they do actually finally have some game scripts where they're in front, that there is obviously a chance that Breece Hall is just 100 times better than he's already been. And then obviously you're taking the fact that Braylon Allen's injured. I do actually like it, and they've been able to move the ball, and like when Fields hasn't obviously been like injured and just carrying something, the offense in general has actually moved the ball pretty well. It's just been the defense that has struggled, but to be honest, we don't give a shit about that in fantasy. If anything, it's a good. So yeah, I've got no problem with it.
Yes, I reckon cancel fantasy defenses. By the way, that's a message for next year, isn't it, Tay?
Yeah, fucking hell.
The thing I wanted to throw in about Breece Hall here, and why I had him on my buy low list as well, Kev, just you and I are 100% in simpatico here, which is a little concerning. I might need to go and get my head checked later. But mate, I did a quick look on a stat that's really, really helpful for running backs. Is how many touchdowns this guy scored? Oh, no rushing touchdowns. That's all right. Maybe he's got a receiving touchdown. No. So it's like, well, that can't keep up. You can't just have no touchdowns with the volume he's getting. He hasn't had a game where he's had less than 10 carries. He gets between 4 and 6 targets a game. Like he's too involved for that to continue. And I know that the Fields thing, around the goal line, Fields is just as good a chance to take the touchdown away. But I've sort of seen this with Lamar Jackson last year too, of just having a quarterback who can get outside the pocket and who can shift things around and move with his legs. Doesn't necessarily take it all away from the running back. This team is 0-5. They won't be 0 whatever all season long. They're going to win games. They're going to be in positions where they can score points, and they've got some pretty soft old teams coming up. So there's a lot of reasons there where I think Breece Hall is just an absolute smash. But I mean, the first one is he's a top 20 running back without a touchdown. Like, to me, that's mental. That's really worth circling, because if he had just an average amount of touchdowns, even if he could score one every second week at this point, well, it jumps him 4 or 5 spots immediately. And that's even if you don't throw in a receiving one here or there. So to me, there's just a lot of upside that's been really untouched, that the volume is already saying should be there. So I'm 100% in on Breece Hall as well.
Can we talk about how wild it is that it's week 5, there's no undefeated teams left, and the only team without a win is the friggin' Jets, not even the Titans.
Not even the Titans. Glad you brought that up.
Not even the Titans.
Hey, I tipped the Titans in one thing. I didn't bet on them, but I tipped them.
Tipping is one thing. Actual money is another.
Yeah. Yeah, you go with the heart a bit more when you're tipping, because it costs you nothing. When you're putting bets on, it's like, I know they're paying $7, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, good news this year. My heart and my head are in simpatico in terms of tipping against the Titans every week. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you'll be able to fund your kids' college betting against the Titans, mate. No worries.
Generally, I thought they would take me to Survivor glory, but I actually lost because I had to sign the Arizona Cardinals as my Survivor pick this week. So did someone else, though.
I can't tell you how many ways the Cardinals lost that game too. That was incredible. Absolutely.
It was magic.
Incredible. They lost that thing about 3 different ways. Oh, amazing.
It was a Brian Callahan, coaching masterclass.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes back to coaching, doesn't it? Hey, Tay, I'm going to kick this one to you because we've been through a couple of Kevs by lows, and we love them. But have you got one that's sort of with a bullet right up in the top of your list as well?
I do. I've got one I fucking love, and I know Kev will hate it. So it's that makes me.
Double whammy.
Hang on. Let me have a guess. Is it a running back?
It is definitely a running back, and got a lot of stats in terms of why he's done what he's done so far. And he's not going bad. He's only going bad for how his perception was at the start of the season. So I am saying the buy low of this year is the number one running back with a bullet from last season, Saquon Barkley. And why I think the actual buy low makes even more sense is he's sitting there with a questionable tag right now. Everything I've heard is that it's basically just management. Like he's going to be fine. They've got their Friday game. They just kind of manage him on the short week. The last 3 games the Eagles have played, they have played against the Rams, who are 3rd against fantasy running backs and 10th against rushing yards, Tampa Bay, who are 8th against running backs in rushing, and Denver, who are 5th against running backs in rushing. They have been horrendous 3 matchups. Yes, it's been a bit concerning that their O-line hasn't been as good as last year, but those matchups are terrible. They were never ones that you would expect Saquon to have amazing games anyway, and the guy is still running back 9. So I'm not saying that anyone's like looking at this guy as like running back 20 or something, but what I'm saying is that I think you can get a top 5 back at not a top 5 price right now. Now, here's where it gets super juicy. Their upcoming schedule. They have New York Shitty Giants, 25th against the running back position in fantasy and 26th against rushing yards in general. Then
watch how finally throw to AJ Brown now that Taylor said all this.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
See, this is the problem, too. I was looking at AJ Brown, and then I'm like, the problem is I feel like the games that just happened should have been where AJ Brown was used. Because
exactly.
Terrible running back matchups, but they should have been the times where they actually threw. The problem with these ones coming up with the Giants, then the Vikings, who are 24th against the running back position, 19th against the running back position in fantasy, 24th in terms of rushing yards given up to the running back position, and then the Giants again. So I don't need to bring up those stats again. I just think these are amazing matchups for the running back position, and I just think this is where Saquon could really, really turn it on. Do I see him going back to like what he was last year? No, probably not. I think there was obviously a lot of stars aligned in that situation, but do I think these next 3 matchups could be what you saw last year? Yes, I 100% believe it could be. I just don't think they're matchups that they need to pass. They're going to lead in these games, and I just think they're going to be able to run the fuck out of the ball, and this is going to be where you see more of the old Saquon. So I have put a lot of feelers out there. Again, this is the guy that was the running back 1 last year, so I'm not saying that like people are going to let him go for fucking nothing, but I just think this is an opportunity that you could possibly package like 2 guys that are going quite well for a guy like Saquon. I just think he's never been more available than he is now of a questionable tag and sitting at running back 9.
Mate, I don't hate it. I was a bit lower than Tay on Saquon this year. I had him around RB8, and he's sitting at 9 at the moment. And Tay's right. Like, if he's going to run a good matchups here, and something's got to change with this Eagles offense. Like, they can't keep winning the way they're winning. That offense has got to get moving eventually, whether it's in the passing game or they get the groundwork going. I don't mind it if you can get him at the right price. Say if you've got, say, J.K. Dobbins and someone else, and you want to throw them to the Saquon owner, go for it.
I definitely set that exact trade in like 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
But anyway.
And what's encouraging for me is that in all of this, Saquon's getting, so this week just gone was a bit of an anomaly, right? 6 rushing attempts and a couple of targets isn't going to sort of cut it. But also, like, every other week you're looking down that list and he's had 18 rushing attempts, 22, 18, 19. Like, the volume is always there. And, sure, he's only sort of had 1 game which well and away cleared 50 rushing yards. But, I mean, to me, it's just a matter of, he will just keep on trucking away. And as long as he's healthy, defenses aren't going to be able to keep the man contained for a full 18-week slate. Tay, you mentioned the 3 games going into his bye. Coming out of his bye, they immediately get Green Bay. And I would not mind having a second week to think about how I attacked Green Bay either, which makes them a little bit less scary when you got 2 weeks to plan for them. And then Detroit, who are on a death sentence for running backs. Dallas, who are just a fucking field to run through with as many toddlers running behind you as you want. Anyone can run against Dallas, and Chicago immediately after that. So it's not till week 14 you actually get a defense which does make you feel a little worried about running backs, and that's the Chargers, who've been really quite sound. So buying Saquon now kind of gives you this wonderful streak of 6 or 7 weeks where there's not really anyone who does scare you, and the one who should be scary had 40 points put on last time we saw him on a field, and you get 2 weeks to plan for him. So there's just a lot of reasons why I don't mind a piece of Saquon. And I think you're right. It's not exactly a buy low in terms of, well, man, he's in the doldrums. But it's like, well, for a guy who was running back 1 last year who's, still getting a lot of volume, is somehow running back like 8 or 9, you're not going to get a chance to buy this particular guy lower. So I like the way that qualifies.
I kind of liked the idea of those 3 matchups into a buy because, like, when I'm doing this segment, especially at this point of the year, I'm still not looking at a guy that I feel like I have to keep. And yes, Saquon in general is a keeper. He's not a guy like I would love to get in the situation to move again. But it's like, if he has 3 amazing matchups, kills it, goes into a buy, and then I look at Green Bay and Lions and go, they're not amazing matchups, blah, blah, blah. I might actually be able to package Saquon again and actually get someone, that has amazing matchups coming better and someone else on top of that, because I'm basically selling the RB1 or 2 or 3 at that point off these amazing matchups, and I get someone that I like slightly better moving forward, and someone else because obviously that player is lower in terms of the trade market than Saquon. I'm not saying that's what I would do. I'm just saying I like the ability to move on it as well, because that is kind of like a break in terms of different matchups. I know you said that Green Bay and Lions aren't something you're totally scared of, but they are definitely worse matchups for the running back than those 3 I just brought up. So yeah, this was more specific about this block of 4 weeks that I'm super keen on, and then I'm always happy to reassess because honestly, I'll trade anyone at any moment if I can.
Yeah, and because to me, it's about the production, not about the name on the back of the jersey. And people can get quite emotional about the name on the back of the jersey. So you dangle a name like Saquon in front of people, then you can tend to get a few more nibbles than if you just took a guy with good-looking stats who doesn't have the household name. I think that's a huge part of the sell, right? Is that you got to show all the advantages along with the benefits. And the advantages are all all those things, check out the flashy label. Oh, check out the other parts of this situation that are really great. And the benefits actually just the points. So I think that's really part of the craft of the sell. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a tight end. Because, that's exactly what you would expect out of me. We've gone through a list of 3 guys already, and they were all guys who I really wanted to talk about, but I thought, let's shift gears here. Do you believe me now about Kyle Pitts, by the way? I copped a lot of shit in the preseason for Kyle Pitts, and again, eventually over the preseason, he started to pick up a little bit in rankings, and then he's definitely seeing the target share now, which is great. He's had no games with less than 5 targets, and in that last game before the bye, he came up with 18 points, which is great. And he's getting depth of target too now. That was the game where he definitely was having the most ability to get down the field. He now meets, after his bye, Buffalo. Okay. They're just a little tougher against tight end, but they're not a terrible secondary for a fantasy player to go up against. But then after that, San Francisco, Miami, New England are all bottom 10 at the moment against tight ends. Then Indianapolis, who are middle of the pack. And then all these guys are bottom 10 as well. Carolina, New Orleans, New York Jets, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Los Angeles Rams. He gets every single top 10 defense you could possibly face as a tight end between now and the end of the season. And the only rough one is a mid-pack one. So I will sell practically anyone to get what I think is going to be a good advantage at tight end if I'm someone who doesn't have one of those big names. Like if I don't have a Bowers, which I tend not to have, or I'm not sitting on Kittle waiting for him to get back. If we're going to kind of anyone else outside of that, I'd happily ship them to get myself a slice of Kyle Pitts.
I don't hate it at all, matey. I was a bit down on him in redraft this year, but that's just because of the disappointment of the last few. But I still have him in a lot of dynasty leagues, and he's been perfectly fine. Swapping him, Laporta, and that based on matchups, and been a pretty good run for him this year. I think a lot better than a lot of people expected. So. Yeah,
I mean, with the bye, he's tight end 13, so he's not killing it. But I mean, if he had played an average week last week without scoring 0 for having the bye, I think he would probably still be on more people's minds. It's just why it's a good time to go and knock on the Pitts owner's door and just see what he costs. Tay, you were starting to warm a bit to Pitts as the season was warming up as well, as we're getting a few games in too. I can't imagine you hate this. You're not going to call me a complete pelican, are you?
No, I was going to say I definitely wasn't one of the ones giving you shit about it. I admit Kev said it's everyone kind of laughs at the whole Pitts thing because of the amount of time destroyed people that were taking him in like the 5th round or something in the previous year's redraft. But the thing was, the price was so low that it was like a cannot miss picking away anyway, because it was like he sucked at the start of the year. You could just like throw into the bin and get another a waiver wire pick up a tight end. Like there wasn't really a high enough price to make it even a worry anyway this year. And I've actually liked him. Like again, he's another one that I wouldn't mind having if I sort of just like stashed him as a tight end and had another tight end on my team, and I obviously hadn't paid up at the tight end position like you mentioned you hadn't. And I'd love to just play him in the home games. Like I've been a big proponent of like Atlanta. They seem to move the ball way better at home. Like there's just something about that indoor, dome that they seem to go really, really well, and they seem to open things up a bit. And yeah, I wouldn't mind just sort of like switching him with someone else and just sort of going home games, because like I actually really like, he seems to get utilized in this offense. Penix, seems to be able to air it out, and with Arthur Smith not being there anymore and just doing weird shit with Jono, that they seem to actually utilize Pitts pretty well. So yeah, I've got a problem with it.
I love it. I'm going to turn back to Kev to look at another buy candidate. If you got one in the coffers there, Kev, you got one more for us?
Do I ever? Mate, we were talking about him in the green room, and Taylor and I were pretty big on this guy in the preseason and in the tight end show. Mason Taylor, New York Jets. He's emerged as the clear number 2 passing target in this offense. He kind of had a breakout game against Miami, and I thought, well, I've got him in a lot of leagues. Let's see how it looks. And the next week he come out and bumped up like another 5 catches and 60-odd yards, which for a tight end, mate, that's perfectly fine. And I think it's only going to get better as they continue to improve.
Man, I can't fault it. I've been sort of scratching my head wondering where the second pass-catching target in this offense was going to come from.
Well, that's all it takes. Garrett Wilson and a bag of douches. So, someone had to come in and do something.
Yeah. Were we all going to still be looking at Alan Lazard? No. There's not a lot else going on. And it's great to see, because you'd been the biggest proponent of him, of anyone I knew in the preseason, Kev. And I can remember we sort of talked about it even before the season sort of kicked off, and asking you about what you liked about that situation. And this was exactly what you said. You were like, well, mate, you tell me who the second best pass catcher on that offense is, and then you give me a grocery list of why you don't think it could be Mason Taylor. And I just had nothing. Just had nothing.
Yeah, exactly. No, someone had to do it. And they, like, as Tay said too, like when Fields has played well, he has moved this offense has moved the ball pretty well, like when he wasn't injured or hurt. So I think this team, it's not going to go as good as I expected at the start of the year, but there are going to be a lot of fantasy-relevant guys on this team still, which is what we care about.
100%. Hey, we love a good junk time tight end, don't we?
Oh, mate, gets me tingling in, unmentionable places. But look, I love the Mason Taylor call, obviously. Like, me and Kev was sort of in simpatico on bloody Taylor Island, and I wouldn't be surprised if what we're seeing now was initially the plan earlier in the season, but he also got that high ankle sprain in the preseason. Yeah. I wonder whether, even though he was there for week 1, whether he was a bit hampered. And it kind of looks to me like, even if you look at the timeline since when that came out, it was like 6 or so weeks since that. It looks to me like he's fully recovered from that, and now all of a sudden he is completely trusted as that number 2 option that Kevin and I were saying the entire time. We felt like Garrett was always going to be the one, but they needed that number 2. And Justin Fields has always had a propensity to throw to the tight end position. You saw it at the Bears, and then a short time at the Steelers with Freiermuth, that there was always an awesome opportunity in front of Mason Taylor. There's even fucking Tyler Conklin at the Jets, if you want to talk about the actual team itself more so than the quarterback, that the buddy had the same amount of catches every fucking year. He used to get utilized pretty well in this offense. So, yeah, I felt like there were so many green flags for Mason Taylor this year, and we're finally starting to see, the fruits from it. And I say finally, funnily enough, because it's like week 6. Like, the fact is he's actually kind of breaking out early in a way, like especially for a rookie tight end. So I hope he keeps doing it, because, he's one that I grabbed in a lot of dynasties this year, sort of went the Kev route with that side of things. And I got him in a few redrafts, but it's one of these ones where he was free and you kind of didn't have to take the leap on him if you didn't have to. But obviously he's one that I've sort of picked up on any waiver wires that I could after seeing him break out.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Hey, is that movement in your pants?
That's the question.
A little bit of beer, but a lot of vodka.
How does all this stack up when we bring it into a fantasy landscape?
I did absolutely no research on purpose, just because I basically had them everywhere.
I mean, that's what we're trying to harness here.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Tay, I need to learn a little bit from you, mate. We've had a couple from Kev. I've thrown in a tight end as well now. Kev's come back with a tight end. Have you got another really hot buy that you want to mention?
Yeah, I was going to just touch on this one quickly because it was kind of the complete opposite. You know, I had obviously Saquon that's sort of sitting on the edge of the top 10, and he's more of like an one, but I had another one that's more like, you know, sitting closer to waivers and someone that I thought just could have a far better rest of season than what they've done so far. I had written down the wide receiver 81 on the season so far. In gonna be golden. Oh, I'm not hiding now. I'm shining like I was born to be. I had no other reason. I just wanted to sing that. In the end, like I just think going into their bye, things were obviously starting to, you know, head in the right direction. He's obviously a rookie. He had some rookie growing pains, obviously, in the first couple of weeks, but the next 3 weeks are quite good. So he's got the Bengals, who are 21st against the wide receiver position, into the Cardinals, who are 16th, so sort of more mid-back, and then into the Steelers, who are 26th. So the main kind of reason was he had 48% of snaps in week 1, and now he's averaging 63% snaps in weeks 2 to 4. He had 2.6 points in week 1 and 1.5 points in week 2, then over 8 points in week 3 and 4. 4 targets in week 1 and 2, and then 10 targets between week 3 and 4. So the things are just on a good trajectory for a rookie. It's just what I would like to see. Obviously, you know, you still got Jaden Reed, who was their wide receiver, or de facto wide receiver 1 with the collarbone injury, so he won't be back for a long time. So I just think there's an opportunity there for him. Is it going to be frustrating when it's just Dobbs catching fucking 3 touchdowns with that massive giganto megamind head of his with the fucking, you know, guardian cap? Yes, it's going to have some lumps, but I just think moving forward, there's an opportunity here where this team really looks at it and LaFleur goes, we spent a first-round draft capital on this guy. We need to get him more and more involved, and I wouldn't be surprised to see those snaps kind of creep up and up. And what I do like is they're kind of using him like kind of not as gadgety as Jaden Reed, but little bit like that. Like I've seen some sort of end arounds and like sort of just chucking it to him on the line of scrimmage and seeing what he can do, or kind of spreading him out and, you know, giving him some of those deep shots as well. So I kind of like that they're getting him involved in different ways. So I just got a feeling that, you know, no one's touting this guy. He's at wide receiver 81. Like, he might even be on some waivers in some leagues or sitting at the bottom of someone's bench. I just think he could be super cheap, and I think there's an opportunity where he just way outdoes what he started at this year. So, yeah, it's just one I had written down that I think was the complete opposite of what I did in terms of buy low with what I did in Saquon.
Yeah, I love that. And this is great because it makes Kev have to either agree with you and say something nice about the Packers, or disagree with you, and conflict is good for radio. Kev, which way are you going?
Yeah, mate, I'm not buying Matthew Golden, but I'm not buying any Packers outside of Tucker Kraft and Josh Jacobs, but I said that in the preseason too. I think Matthew Golden will be a very good player. I just don't think it'll be in this first year. The targets going up is obviously a very, very good thing, but this offense, mate, you just can't trust who's going to get the targets each week regardless. Like, you know, it's that they are one of the epitomes of the league of share the ball around sort of a thing. And in best ball, I'd love a share of Matthew Golden just because I think he is going to break off a couple of big games at some point. But general week-to-week fantasy, mate, if I had him on my team, I probably wouldn't be starting him a lot. But that's just me.
Yeah, and look, it's a very low stakes one. It's like, you know, trying to get this guy for basically nothing, and, you know, if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. So it's not exactly one that's going to like make or break my season. But I just think, like I said, I think there's a chance he could have a far better season than people are thinking. And like I said, I just really like that trajectory he was on before the bye. So rookies generally, you know, outside of the absolutely special ones that you've seen dominate straight away, like your Amika Egg Boom Shakalakas. You know, they generally take a while to actually get going. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a better second half of the season than he had first.
I think it's going to be one of these things too as this season wears on. Every time we mention Emeka Ibuka, we're going to have the boom shakalaka sound effect from NBA Jam. I'm just going to work it in there. I think we're going to have to do that.
Boom shakalaka! Yeah, I'm in.
It's kind of like how we used to have the turd water every time we mentioned Matt Ryan, right? Shitting in his cleats and stuff. Like, man, we've had some good jokes over time.
Oh, they're great.
Mate, I'm going to wrap up my last buy with the wide receiver who I don't know how well he actually fits the buy low because he's had a couple of good weeks in a row now, and I think that makes it difficult to buy him. But I just kind of wonder how long people are willing to stay with him, where I kind of feel like there's a great opportunity continuing on. Is that Cortland Sutton is currently a wide receiver 10. And I think if you looked people in the face earlier in the season and said, Cortland Sutton's going to be wide receiver number 10 through 5 weeks, they kind of look at you like you had a head injury. And he's there now. And I still think maybe the people who own him are probably just glad that he's throwing up the points, but I don't know how much confidence they've got that he'll keep it up. I've got a lot of confidence he'll keep it up. And I feel like he could probably do well to part with somebody who's in the sort of the 20-ish range at wide receiver, pick up Cortland Sutton, see him continue to produce at the level he is now, because he's getting the targets, right? This is not an offense who's going to shut shop when they're in front. We've seen them just continue to run their entire offense, even when they're up by 3 scores against the Bengals at home. They just continued to run out their offense. So you know the opportunity is always going to be there. And mate, the run of defenses they've got is a murderer's row of people who've got fucking elbows for fingers and who can't tackle shit. It's this week the Jets, next week the Giants, then Dallas. That's 3. I reckon if you said, can you name the 3 defenses you would like to play against as a wide receiver? That'd be the first 3 out of everyone's mouth, and then probably the Ravens next. But then even then, they get Houston, who've been a much stingier against the pass, but then straight after that, Vegas, Kansas City, both of them, no dramas, you can pass against them. And coming out of their bye, they get Washington and Las Vegas. So literally up to the playoffs, you've got one who are a little bit trickier in terms of just where they're giving up points against wide receiver. So I'm completely in on Cortland Sutton because I just think the opportunity continues to be there. And he's definitely the favoured target of Nick's, who's proven he's good enough to get in the ball against everybody. And I'd be interested, Tay, on what you think about this, because you know Sutton's been my boy for years, mate.
I like it because it's a different take on this segment. I actually do think it fits because this isn't all about just saying what they are in terms of positional rankings on the season, because you're right. Like saying wide receiver 10 isn't actually a buy low. If anything,
not low, yeah.
Or a sell high category. But it's because of the perception of the player in the fantasy community, not so much the actual stats. Because honestly, not everyone goes in depth like we do. Like, not everyone actually bases their decisions on like looking exactly what number they are in terms of the season. They actually just go off their gut and go off like what they believe of the player. And we even had a mailbag question where we were basically getting asked whether we like McLaurin better rest of the season or Sutton. And if you look at that, that is sort of sitting around that early 20s kind of range. And I think that's where people think of Sutton. Like, I honestly think Sutton would have to break out in the top 3 and just be basically having like an Egg Booker-like season for people to actually like notice and go, man, this guy's even top 10. Like, you're right. Like, I think the perception right now is still that he's like an early 20s wide receiver in fantasy. So you're right. If you could actually send someone that is in the 20s, get him, and then he's actually sitting at wide receiver 10 and giving you top 10 production, it actually makes sense. So I understand it in that point.
Yeah, because I think you could sell McLaurin and get Sutton back. I think you could sell Metcalf and get Sutton back. Like that range, right? Those guys who are clearly not top 10, but they're not.
They've got the name value that people want.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is the art of the sell, right, Kev? Is that you've got to dangle in front of people someone who they can get emotional about. And no one's got their heart on Sutton except me. I'll be interested in your take, though, Kev.
Yeah, well, even last year, Matty, remember Sutton had that really hot fantasy run for a few weeks, and like most people didn't even fucking notice. Like, I don't know what it is. If you're a wide receiver going off on the bloody Broncos, it's just like, yeah, but was it Bo Nix or a running back? Because no one seems to care otherwise.
I mean, the first 4 weeks, Bo Nix couldn't hit the water throwing it off the pier. And still, from that next 13 weeks, Sutton ended up a top 12 wide receiver on the season. So, like, once he got locked in, the volume was there, the opportunity was there, the execution was there. And so far this season, it's not like Sutton's doing it on touchdowns either. He's only got 3 through 5 weeks. So it's not like that's carrying him either. He hasn't had the big, like, 28-point, 30-point game where you can go, whoa, look at that point to that. That's 40% of his scoring in 2 games or whatever. over a whole season, 40% of his scoring coming from 2 games. It's sustainable and it's continued. So this is kind of what I like about him. And I know at 10 he's not a buy low, but this kind of one, like, well, he's a buy. He's just a buy.
He had a year with Russ too where he was super touchdown dependent. So I think people might still remember that. And they kind of think that he is still that guy that needs touchdowns to be sustained. But he's kind of the opposite now. If anything, he's getting volume and he's actually not getting a huge amount of touchdowns. So that's actually reason to believe there's actual, positive touchdown regression coming. So, I do like it at that point.
3 touchdowns in 5 weeks extrapolates out to about 10 over the season, 10 or 11. That's an excellent year. An excellent year. So, with that said, I want to throw back to Kev too. Just have you got an honorary mention or two who you just want to throw in real lightning round 30 seconds on that you think are just worth circling if you can pull into your team?
Yeah, mate, I've got 2 left, or 2.5. So one is Theo Johnson. If you're struggling at tight end, mate, he's come in since Jackson Dart's been there. His targets have gone up, depth of target. He's scored a couple of touchdowns. You know, he seems to be a favourite target of the rookie QB. And he's sitting out there on waivers in a lot of places. And if he's not, he's on someone's bench. Like, you can pick him up from someone for basically nothing. And the other one, mate, is a pair of quarterbacks, weirdly enough.
A pair?
Yeah, just like if you need 2 quarterbacks, like a one to start and a bench QB, so you can play the matchups. Caleb Williams is QB 16 and Michael Penix is QB 28. And their matchups week to week just line up beautifully. Caleb has Washington, Penix has the Bills. Caleb has the Saints, Penix has the Niners. Caleb has Baltimore, Penix has Miami. Like, one of them has a really favourable matchup each week. So say if you've got a Josh Herbert or something and you need to be able to play the matchups considering Herbert's O-line's shot to shit, flick him out, get those 2 back, and you can just fucking bounce from team to team, week to week, all the way through.
I love that. Going deep enough to go, you know what? You can even just rotate these 2. Kev, this is why you're the right person for this show, mate. Hey, Tay, do you have another face or 2 still left on the bench there who you were looking to bring up as well? Just lightning around 30 seconds on?
Not really, mate. I kind of just went with 3, and obviously Drake London was part of it, so that's why I just touched on him quickly after Kev already had. So the other 2, obviously, I had down Wells, Saquon, and Holden. So I just kind of stuck to probably the 3 on each side, so I didn't bother too much with too many honourable mentions.
Well, maybe we should pivot to the ones that got to be Solden. That was not very good, I know. But let's pivot to guys who they may have got off to good starts of the year, or they may be just names who carry a lot of emotion. People are really in on them because of who they are, but we can actually see a little further. We've got the crystal ball out, and we reckon that there's a good time to jump ship on them. I started with Kev on the first lap round, but this time I'm going to go to Tay first and start looking at folks that may be a good opportunity to get out of the business of. Who's your sort of number 1 that you think is worth saying au revoir to, mate?
Yes, you speak about emotional attachment. I'm speaking to the right guy. I'm going to pitch Travis Etienne as my first one. He's at running back 10, and I can already see Matty's face into his hands. He's not happy. Maybe I'm selling Etienne to him. maybe that's the play. Look,
mate, I'd probably still buy him. I probably fucking would.
Yeah, look, it is a short-term thing for me in a way. Like, I just felt like he's had some pretty good matchups. You already saw a not amazing game last week against the Chiefs, even though it was such a weird anomaly thing. And this is why I can't just always trust data, even all the way up to week 5 or week 6 now, is that the Chiefs on paper last week were actually written down as like a good matchup for running backs, whereas I know that's not true. Like, I've seen for like many, many years that this team is actually super stout against the running back position, and they actually were. This is why I like to extrapolate like rushing yards compared to fantasy data, because the Chiefs weren't actually giving up a huge amount of rushing yards, but they were giving up obviously touchdowns, and that was going to the running back position in fantasy, and it made it seem like it was actually an okay matchup. Then you saw Etienne go out there, not have an amazing day, obviously, against these guys, and this is kind of why I do it this way. Coming up, he's got the Seahawks, who are 13th against the running back position, but they're 3rd best in terms of defending the running back and rushing yards. So there's another chance, kind of like the Chiefs, where he's kind of stifled. Then he's got the Rams, who are 3rd against the running back position and 10th in terms of rushing yards to the running back position. Then he goes into a bye. So I was kind of looking at just that very, very small block of games coming up, because I feel like if you could sell him now before he has these like 2 not so great games and a bye, I think it's the right time to get out of him and look elsewhere at maybe someone that is starting to, tilt up. Like is ETN plus someone else like a wide receiver to get Saquon something. That is something I would try and do. I'm not guaranteeing that would get it done, but it's kind of what I'm looking for in this terms of buy low, sell high. So I just think there's a chance that ETN starts to fall off a bit. Look, I'm not guaranteeing it. I just think in terms of matchups, what's coming up compared to what he's dealt with so far, he had ridiculously good matchups in the first few weeks as well. So I am wondering whether it was more to do with that, why he's kind of had the breakout. But I will give him credit. He's been far better than anyone really predicted in terms of his actual draft capital. And so he's actually been a win for any owners. But I do think there's a chance you can get out in front of it now.
Kev, have you got a player who's high on your sell list, mate?
I certainly do. And it's a guy who I was extremely high on being a rookie this year, his situation where he's going into. It's Emeka Egbuka. Godwin's back, starting to see a bit of an uptick, and Mike Evans is coming back soon. I think he's currently a wide receiver 3 on the year. He's not going to stay that high. Like, I think he's definitely value if you draft him where he is. But if you can turn around and flip him for someone plus, or, fill another position of need while getting a little downgrade at wide receiver, you're going to be a smash towards the end of the year, because once Evans comes back, I think his targets and that are going to go down. He's going to be very touchdown dependent towards the end of the season.
Tay, you're saying this right to your face.
If I put a 4th, it would have been him. I'm with you. It sucks, and I don't know if it's one that needs to happen right now, because I feel like there's like 1 or 2 more weeks of juice you could
exactly
of him. But I'm with you that I think this is going to be one of those. I swear I said this to you in the preseason too, Matty C, on a show where I was like, I think we're going to get like the reverse rookie treatment with Emeka Egbuka. Like, I think
you did.
It was probably more to do with Godwin, because at that time we obviously didn't know that Evans was injured. But I felt like there was a chance you would get more out of Egbuka at the start of the season than you would the end, which is a weird arc for a rookie. It's normally the opposite. I'm the same. Like, if all of a sudden you've got a situation where Godwin's more healthy and Evans is back from IR, there is just a world. Like, I think he's so talented that he's going to be fine. But it's like, if you can trade him as a wide receiver 3 on the season for a haul, it's like, it's hard not to do it, because he could be more of like 6 for 70 kind of type guy when those guys come back. And it's like, compared to the haul that you could have gotten, it's probably better to sell. So one that I've definitely sort of chucked it towards like the disgruntled Saquon owner and things like that already this week. So I'm with you. Like, I've already put that into play myself in a couple of leagues that I have him. But I'm also not trying to fire sale him. It's just trying to get...
you want to get value.
Gauge the market sort of thing and see what you can get.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's funny, too, because I tell you, we were both a bit filthy when the NFL draft went by. We're like, why is this guy going to Tampa Bay? He's never going to see the fucking field, because he's already behind Evans, Godwin, Jalen McMillan, who was in fine shape at the time, and then we're like, and he'll probably be wrestling with Sterling Shepard for playing time. And here he is, he's only been a number 3 wide receiver on the season. But those things are still in his future, right? That Jalen McMillan will be back from IR at some stage. We've seen Chris Godwin, he will get ramped up as long as he doesn't re-aggravate his injury. He'll be fine. Mike Evans still needs to find a way to get 1,000 yards this season to make sure he continues to get his bonus. All these things are going to continue to exist around Emeka Egbuka, and it'll just be interesting to see whether he can keep it up, because he's going to be up against it. And if you can get some value for him now, it makes more sense to do that, and then let him still have a good week or 2 with somebody else, and let them bathe in that sunshine for a bit while you go and take the more stable options for the rest of the run home, especially if you're in a position where he's done well for you and you're in a spot where missing him for a week or 2 is not going to impact your season. If you got off to a nice 3-2 with a lot of points, or a 4-1 start, that makes total sense to do. Where, if you're at the bottom, maybe you do need those couple extra weeks out of Egbuka before you try and do it.
What was funny with me was he was literally my favorite wide receiver in the draft. Like, I loved him. And I kept saying that to you even before the draft. And then the draft happened, and I was like, fuck, why does he have to go and be like the wide receiver 4 straight away? So what kind of happened in my draft season was anywhere that we did super early drafts, whether it was like the French, the Guillotine Execution League, or like some of the leagues where we drafted like 4 weeks out from the season, I didn't get him because that was when we didn't know McMillan was going to be injured. We didn't know, obviously Evans was healthy. We also didn't even know Godwin's status for week 1. So those were the ones where I didn't get him in redraft. I got him as everywhere I could in Dynasty still because I love him. But I didn't get him there. But what ended up happening was I had a few drafts that were like a week before the season. And by then we knew McMillan, we knew Godwin wasn't going to be playing, blah, blah, blah. It's funny how all of them are where I have all my redraft shares. It was basically every league that we drafted late. So that's kind of how topsy-turvy the preseason was for this guy, because it was like he went from basically, oh, is this guy 4th in line to, oh my God, Moses is fucking part of the seas for these guys, for this guy, sorry. And all of a sudden he could be the wide receiver 1.
Exactly how you described it too. Moses had parted the seas. Mate, I think I'm going to push back on the guy who I want to sell. And it's because the early season volume has been pretty good, and I've just got my concerns about the offense in general, and I don't know how it's going to hold up over the course of the year, especially with the better matchups kind of having already gone. I'm throwing up there as a sell as Garrett Wilson, and I don't think this will be a popular one. He's had some big games. He's had 3 games with over 20 fantasy points and a 4th game with 19, and he's been the beneficiary of no less than 8 targets in every game, and he's been up against middling or terrible defenses the entire way. He's yet to face a top 10 passing defense. He now faces Denver, and Carolina's secondary hasn't had to deal with a lot of passing against them, and they've been relatively stout against it anyway. This is, I think, where you start to see things start to get difficult for Garrett Wilson, and I'm pretty happy to take at the moment at this stage of the season. He's wide receiver he's wide receiver 5 overall in terms of all fantasy scoring. He's the 18th highest scoring player in all of fantasy, every position. And I just don't know that that's going to be sustainable for him. So I'm pretty happy at this stage if I can sell him and pick up somebody else in the same sort of range, if I can just trade him out for someone else who's in that top 10 range now who I feel like sustainable, I would rather do that and just let Garrett Wilson and that uncertainty move to somebody else. I'm not saying fire sell him. I'm just saying I've got concerns, and I'd rather that be on someone else's roster than mine. Kev, we've just talked about the Jets and how clearly he's the number 1 target and your boy Mason Taylor was the 2nd target. Kind of wonder how this sits with you now.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. I was just talking to Taylor because Matty doesn't fucking exist anymore.
What? Bang. I knew that would happen.
Look, I didn't rank wide receiver 12 at the start of the year, yeah, and I'm still holding to that, mate. Like he's put up like 1,300 yards a year with some absolutely fucking atrocious quarterback play against some really good defenses. I think he's going to have some struggle weeks, but he's still going to be a top 10 wide receiver at the end of the season. I've got pretty fucking confident on that. So, at my eyes, I drafted him cheaply enough that he's going to return value still for me for the rest of the year. So,
Kev, I want to come back to you for your next sell. Is there somebody who's like, sort of like a bit hot in the kitchen with this guy and you're ready to get out?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it before, mate. Look, if I had Justin Herbert, I'd be looking to move him.
Fucking oath.
He's currently QB 10. That O-line has been torn to shreds. They've got a hard schedule coming up, and they've no fucking run game anymore because Marion Hampton's on the shelf, Harris is on the shelf. They're bringing in Kamani Vidal and the ghost of fucking Hassan Haskins, I think it is. Like this.
Oh, you're saying that like he was a thing before, though.
I was
I'm sure he was once.
I was about to laugh. I was like, what the ghost of Hassan Haskins? What the fuck was the real Hassan Haskins?
the real one was a zombie.
Man, the ghost version of a piece of shit. Like, what is a ghost shit?
Yeah, I just can't see it getting any better for Herbert than it is right now.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a shame because they come out firing and hot there early, but it's I'd look to move now because it's only going to get harder and they've got no fucking O-line anymore.
No.
I'll give you a reason why I completely agree. I've got him in one of the guillotine leagues as my quarterback in a 1 quarterback league, and I'm looking at just selling him for nothing. I'm looking at just like picking someone else up on waivers. Like, I am shit scared of it. Like I was so confident after like week 1 on him, but you're right.
Dave's like, anyone want to give me 35 cents, Fab? You can have him.
Yeah, exactly.
$1.
It's what?
It's funny with him too, because I think when I first started looking around, knowing this segment was going to come up, I was looking around immediately through while week 4 games were happening. I'm like, gee, Justin Herbert could actually be a buy. And then as you get more data on the season and as his line's falling apart, it's like, wow, do I admit that I was thinking that when we talk about this on the show? Yeah, it's funny what 10 days can do, right? His line's completely fallen apart. His support from the backfield is gone, and all of a sudden now it's like, well, gee, if Herbert's not going to carry them, and he's sort of shown early on when he was a bit more of a passing weapon, when that defense was not so good, he was fine carrying, but in the last few years he's sort of shown that he needed a few things around him to make him look like the carrier. He can't do it with what he's got, so I like the idea of getting rid of him. Kev, I don't know what you can get back for him. This is what I find tricky about him. It's like, how do you pitch that sell?
Hey, pitch it to somebody who hasn't actually paid attention to the amount of the Chargers injuries, like how you said. You thought he was going to be a buy until you dug into it a bit. Say to someone, mate, look at these fucking weeks he's put up. Look how he's feeding Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, Led McConkey's finally. This is an offense on the up, and then say, righto, give me a bucket of arseholes and I'll take it. But that's the epitome of trying to sell high on someone, Matty, is you're trying to get in, sell in before the value drops, and it's only going to drop from here.
I'll take Tua and Alec Pierce. Thanks, mate.
It's probably the way you can sell a QB better is in like a super flex. Like when it's a 1 QB, it's super hard because it's like, what are you trying to for? It's like, do you have a second quarterback? Like, who's in the market for a quarterback really in one quarterback? It's kind of too easy to actually just find someone of waivers anyway, or is it like someone else isn't keen on like Caleb Williams or something, and you just like essentially feel like you're downgrading and you might get Caleb and someone else like that could actually happen. But it's super flex that actually kind of becomes more relevant because you could actually package Herbert like as an actual asset, and then you could not even go off quarterback. If you've got maybe another one that you can just sort of plug in for super flex, you might actually be able to get a decent running back or wide receiver out of it. So that's where it becomes a little bit more relevant in super flex.
Hey, Tay, have you got another sell high in your little basket of fun there, mate? Someone who's giving you shark music?
I do. I'm going to go back to the tight end realm, and I'm going to implore people to try and get out of Dalton Kincaid. He's currently top end 2 on the season. For anyone who didn't notice, I'm hoping for this segment people are noticing, and the owners, the people that might be buying him off me in this scenario might have kept an eye on this. But the reason why I think it could be a bit of fool's gold is generally the snap counts. These are literally his snap counts from every single game this season. 51%, 48%, 55%, 37%, 54%. It just gives me the ick. He's getting less than 5 targets a game. He's had also, this is like a massive reason for this, is he's had an unbelievable tight end schedule so far this year. He's played the Ravens, who are 21st against the position, Jets 28th, Dolphins 29th, Saints 30th, Pat's 27th. He's literally played like the 5 best matchups for tight end. Now, I will like caveat that is obviously when he has good games, it probably skews their numbers a little bit, but he's also not having like ridiculously big games that would skew it enough for me to not feel like these teams are the best 5 sort of matchups against tight end. And then he also this week comes up against the Falcons, who are first against the tight end position. Obviously, some numbers are skewed on that because they've had a bye, but they are still in the top 5 when you go to average. So I just feel like this is an opportunity to get in front of like a bad game and sort of get something out of him now, because I feel like this is going to be very patchy, and there's going to be just times where the Bills just share around like who's get a touchdown. It's like 1 week it's Shakir, and 1 week it's Keon Coleman, and 1 week it's fucking it's someone else. It's fucking Ty Johnson or something. It's like you just never know exactly who's going to have the receiving touchdowns for the Bills. So yeah, I just feel like this is an opportunity to get in front of the tight end 2 right now.
I've been pleasantly surprised by how you could pick up Kincaid really for free a couple of weeks ago, and then he kind of blew out a couple of nice weeks. And then I started looking at his schedule. I'm like, I can't keep this guy. I can't keep this guy. So it's nice that you put words to that, because I was looking at that earlier in the week and just thinking, I don't even know how you get rid of him, because I don't know who you sell him to. I guess the guy who just lost Brenton Strange for a month is probably the first place to go and knock on the door, right?
Not a needy team, just someone that's sort of playing the waiver wire game and might be looking for a more solidified
Tonja's guy.
Just like sort of shop them Kincaid and like show them the fact that they're tight end too, and might make them feel like that's the tight end they've been like searching for. And do yourself a favor, and if you sell them Kincaid, just go pick up Mason Taylor or something yourself, or off the waivers and plug and play them. Or obviously in a better scenario, if you've got like a Kittle coming back, but you've been playing Kincaid, just sell Kincaid, and then you've got Kittle coming back anyway, something like that. So, yeah, I just thought there was a few scenarios where it might work.
I also think this is the one where you go, Kincaid is the bolt-on, and you try and move a running back or a wide receiver with Kincaid for an upgrade at the wide receiver or running back place, and then go to the waiver wire to get your tight end, right? Like, as you're saying, there's a couple around. We know there's a couple around. And that would probably be my approach. Kev, I've seen you do that kind of thing in the past. I don't doubt that would be in your mind.
Yeah, mate. Actually, I don't know if it's my turn next, but I've actually got a pair of cells with the same team that I'd look to use to get a massively monstrous upgrade.
Well, don't hold back.
My next pair of cells is actually a tight end and a wide receiver. It's George Pickens and Fergie Ferg. If you do remember, I was big on Ferguson in the tight end, showed him at 8. He's currently the tight end 2 on the year. And the thing with him and Pickens is that it's going to be a high-powered offense, but CD Lamb comes back soon. They're both going to see a little dip. So if you really want to go and get yourself a Saquon or a Bijan or something like that, mate, that's the perfect package. So here you go. Give me that guy.
Oh, we knew Pickens had a good chance at upside. Tay, you were pretty keen on Pickens being on this offense where you knew they were going to chuck it a bunch because their defense is fucked. We couldn't have imagined CD Lamb was going to be out and then he was going to get what he's getting. But right the way,
currently a wide receiver 6 on the year, and CD Lamb's due to come back. Look, I'd sell him on that point. You got the wide receiver 6 and the tight end 2. Both those are probably going to drop now that Lamb's coming back. This is the time if you want to sell
the wave, right? This is where you got to jump, right? This is the crest of the wave. It's not going to get better, is essentially what we're saying too, right? Like, this is the week to really go after it.
Yeah, exactly.
The third person on my list was George Pickens, wide receiver. But he was the one that I prefaced at the start that I kind of felt like you had to tread carefully, because I don't believe people are looking at him as the wide receiver 6. Like, I had some sort of numbers, like while CD's been out, he's averaging 19.33 points per game in half PPR. While he was there, he was averaging 9.9. He also only had 4 targets this week. It was a massive touchdown that sort of saved his day, that kept his value high. So the thing was with him, though, like, I got him in a lot of places, and I just felt like I liked him even as a wide receiver too at that draft capital. Like, he was kind of getting drafted in the mid-20s, and I kind of like that. And it's like, if people still see him that way, like we talk about with Courtland Sutton, then I don't see the point of selling, because it's like you're selling at what he's going to go back to when he's the wide receiver 2 in a high-powered offense that has a shit defense that's going to be in high-scoring games. And there's also the chance that CD Lamb got injured again, and then all of a sudden you're back to where you are now. That's what worried me with the sell. I was kind of like, if you can get a sell for what his exact position is right now, a top 10 wide receiver, go for it. Like, because I don't think he finishes there, but I also think he's not going to be dropping like far well below like 20 or anything either. So really about what you're receiving in return, because like if you can get like the running back that's like running back 6 to 8 for the wide receiver 6 in Biggins, then go for that. But I'm just not certain that's what you're going to be able to get. So just put it out and see what you can get. But don't take a shitty offer for him.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
I reckon you'd make an excellent running back.
Yeah, it'd be the fridge, I think.
Brilliant minds.
These are great against Falcons.
And then Carolina's poor secondary.
Questionable humor.
You are a sour loser who's still an amazing football player.
I'm shrugging that shit off and finishing the game.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Mate, I want to bring up one last guy too, and I don't. Again, this will be super popular because he's kind of a big name, and people get emotional about the big names. But The player who I put on my list is a big name running back who I think good time to sell. And it's not right now. I think you can probably still get another week or two before he starts to hit the toughest matchups. And then you could probably look to pivot him for anybody else in that top range. And you would probably get somebody who's interested to do the swapsy, is Bijan Robinson. And the reason I've got this take on him is that he has got just 2 touchdowns in 5 weeks. He's still been getting the production, but it's because of the matchups he's been against have all been middling or pass, right? He doesn't continue to get that going forward. He'll continue to see volume, but his yards per carry have been 4.5 and over all season long. I also don't think that Atlanta offense is going to sustain that. So he has to come off the bye and he gets Buffalo now. I think that's a really cupcake matchup for running back. Next week against San Francisco, not a terrible running back matchup either. And then he gets Miami. So these next couple of weeks, I don't know that you're in a rush to sell him, but that is the big value builder, right? He's currently running back 7, even though he's had the bye and everyone else kept playing. So he's shown he's held his value through his bye week, and you don't have to worry about planning for a bye with him if you want to stick with him. So I get why there's a lot of advantage to staying with him. But then he hits the tougher matchups of New England, Indianapolis, and Carolina. Boom, 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 1, 2, 3, which are much tougher for the running back before hitting another easier patch. And it's like, well, in those 3 weeks, I could be making my top 10 value with a running back who's got better matchups that I'm happy with for the rest of the season and who doesn't have the question marks around what's going to happen to his yards per carry. So I put Bijan in there. Again, I understand he may not be popular because there's a lot of emotion attached to the guy. A lot of people drafted 101 or 102, and his situation hasn't appeared to change that much. But I'm just kind of looking at the granular stuff. And when you're at the top here, you need to look at granular stuff.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about Bijan's matchups at all, mate. He's produced regardless of who he's played the last few years. He's also, I think it was after week 3, he would have been the wide receiver 4 in the whole league just on his pass catching work. So I don't really see how you can sell him for any sort of value. I don't think it's going to – I can't see him finishing outside the top 6. And and the touchdowns have got to go up. He's had 2 in 5 games. That's way lower than previous seasons. I can't really see him being someone that I'd be looking to sell. If you said to me tomorrow, Matty, hey, I'll give you Bijan and you give me Saquon and I don't know, let's say Josh Downs, I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, Matty, take it. Let's go.
Yeah, this is probably one that I might be slightly overthinking the room in a way. Like I'm with Kev. Like I just don't see a world sort of slipping outside that top 6. So it's hard to find the value. It's like who you're trading him for. Like I still see Saquon. Obviously, I put him in the buy low, but it's like what on top of Saquon are you getting with him to even really make it worth it? I don't know. I just think I would stick with him, honestly. Like, you would need an absolute haul and you would need to be filling, like, multiple positions to sort of make it work. But then even when you get into trades like that, would generally, if someone's trading 3 guys for 1, it's the person getting the 1 is generally getting the better deal, right? So I find it hard to actually see the value in trading a guy who is probably just going to be a bona fide top 5 running back this year. And then Kev brought up you brought up as a good thing that he's only got 2 touchdowns, but you could see a positive regression case for more touchdowns moving forward that he hasn't got so far. So it's actually better for the buyer than the seller for the rest of the year. So I would err on the side of just keeping Bijan.
Kev, you got anyone else we just need to quickly address?
Yeah, I've just got 2 quick running back sells, mate. First one is DeAndre Swift at the Bears. Snap percentage started going down. This run game really hasn't worked despite a proved offensive line. I think if we don't trade for someone, you're going to see a little bit more Kyle Monongai, and he's going to end up, instead of having about an 80% snap share, he's going to go down to about 60, 50%. He's currently like RB 26 or something, 31.
And he's had his bye, so yeah, that impacts his number a little bit.
I'd sell him now. It's just... I can't see him getting any higher than that. And the other one's Tony Pollard. I don't think the run game's been going that well. I was really big on Tyjae Spears before the start of the season, and he's come back now, and I think they're just going to start to work him in more and more to see if they can get a bit of a punch out of the backfield.
Well, summarise here. I've got Kev saying buy Drake London. Also go ahead and buy Breece Hall. Buy Mason Taylor, the tight end at the Jets. Also want to buy Theo Johnson because Jackson Dart loves him. And Also, while you're at it, if you're looking for quarterbacks, because a lot of people are playing two quarterback, or you might be in a position in a one quarterback league where things are a bit tough and you're just looking for guys you can cycle through, Caleb William and Michael Penix have pretty nice alternating rosters that you can flip-flop between the two. Tay's saying don't forget about Saquon Barkley. Likes him more than all top three. He likes him against a whole bunch of these running back matchups because all of them in the next couple of weeks are the top three you'd want a running back going up against as he goes into his bye. He's also saying, why don't you go and buy some Matty Golden? He's got that uplift going into the bye, and now he's got 3 rippers as well. We have a bunch of guys that we want to sell. I said buy Kyle Pitts and also get on Cortland Sutton. Guys who want to sell, Tay reckons get rid of ETN fairly soon. He's top 10, and it looks like things are shaking there, as well as Dalton Kincaid, who's the tight end too. Getting less than 5 targets a game, generally, it's not a great time for sustainability. And then Kev's also saying Ibuka as wide receiver 3, with so many things coming back in Tampa Bay, might make that difficult. Justin Herbert, because everything in that offense is fucking on fire, and not the good fire. Pickens and Ferguson, because CeeDee Lamb's on his way back, and those situations are going to change. Swift and Pollard, get them out of there while you can, while they've got a little bit of positive sentiment around them, because things have fallen apart there too. And Matty says, not the most popular ones, but sell Garrett Wilson and Bijan Robinson if you can get things at similar value where you can see that they've just got better opportunity and better matchups, or you can get an additional piece thrown on. That is all our buys and sells for this part of the season. We're going to come back and do the same thing in about week 11, Tay, generally when we get our second wave in there so we can beat deadlines in most leagues. And we will revise that as we get closer to it. But yeah, it's generally around week 11 or 12 that we go through these again and see how many have been turn up for the books that have been all right and which ones have been set on fire like a dumpster bin, but others then we can get into and start talking about how do we get folks on their playoff run, or how do we turn playoff runs into championships with buys and sells later in the year. I'll look forward to that at the late part of the year too, Tay, because often you're telling me great stories about some of the trades you've made from guys you've mentioned.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up earlier. It's like, look at the season in blocks. Like, don't do this. Go, I have to take this guy on that I'm buying now as like full season. Like, there is an ability to just look at the next 4 weeks and go, I love these matchups. And the idea is that not only do you get all the points for them in fantasy, you then get them building up their own trade market or the trade value. So then you could possibly sell them and get in 4 weeks. I'm not saying you have to keep these guys forever. The idea is just to get in front of all these big breakout games and then build the trade value, and then all of a sudden these guys, like, a Saquon, he might be sitting there as the bloody running back 3 or 2. All of a sudden everyone's remembering Saquon from last year. You could then shift him, like you talked about with Bijan, for a haul to someone else if you really, really wanted to. I'm not saying you have to. It just gives you that opportunity that you don't have right now. So I just love this segment because it's kind of different at this point than it is in like week 11, because week 11's when you're really trying to like shape your team for the run home, and it's obviously not about trading later. So yeah, I really like doing these segments a couple of times a year because it's kind of different.
Hey, fellas, we're going to move into a segment that has been setting Australia on fire. It has been entering lounge rooms all around this great country, and this week resulted in a fantastic outcome for Team World. It's Tipping Point. And, Tay, I'm going to do a quick recap on this one because it was an interesting week. There were such fun lines on this one. Josh Allen was our quarterback. We set the line at 27.5. Adam just kept on going. I didn't know how high that was going to get. He winds up with 22. He was projected for 22. He winds up with 20.4. So Adam wins that one on the under. You got to feel a bit beaten up on that one. Surely Josh Allen, we could have relied on him for a few more points.
Yeah, it's funny when I sort of took a look after, he has a weird thing where he doesn't seem to beat up on the Pats. The Pats seem to do a pretty good job on him, and obviously Vrabel had a pretty good game plan to stop him. So, yeah, in the end, just didn't work out. But, there's also, it's kind of a flip of a coin, right? It's like, Allen's either going to miss it by like 7 or he's going to beat it by like fucking 15. Like, he can have massive games or he can sort of have those plateaued games around 18 to 20, and it was just one of those days.
Yeah, 20.4 is an in-the-shell game for Josh Allen in a way that it is a pretty good day out for most quarterbacks. Ashton Genty against the Indianapolis Colts. We had a line set for 19.5 against his projection of 14.5. Tay, you're on the over of that, and didn't quite get there. He got 15.9, so he was on his way, but Adam wins that one. He's out to a 2-0 lead. It's a pretty rough hole to be in so early. 2 positions, 2-0.
See, this is where this segment does my head in. I do not remember that at all. I don't know. Like, you tell me that Genty was even part of that segment. I seriously cannot even fathom why, like, what was going through my head, why I thought he would go over that, like, at all. So this is how good.
3 touchdowns the week before.
I have so much fucking going on in fantasy football. This is the one thing that I get in there about. It's like I have to ask you, like, seriously, at the end of every week to find if I won or not.
How'd I go? Well, mate, it gets even better when you wrap in your boy Ibuka, a boob locker. You set a line of 16.3 against his projection of 14.58. He goes and drops 31.3. Taylor, you get the over on that one. You're back in the game, 2-1.
Like I said, I remembered that one because when it's my boy Ibuka, I have to remember that.
What I'm noticing here is you're remembering the ones you miss.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, we're just blocking them out. Because then it's just one of these things, right? We pick a player from each position, and I pick one position to nominate a second guy. So we've got 5, right? And I picked a second running back this week, and I picked Saquon against Denver. You also took a line of 19.5, same as Genty, and he ended up with a projection of 16.51. He goes and throws up 17.8, so a good day out. But, mate, Adam gets you on that one, and that's a 3-1 lead. It's an unrecoverable score in this segment. Adam's got you, mate.
Fuck him. We'll get to another segment where he went shit house, so he didn't have it all his way.
Straight away, just attacking him. Of course, the Monday night game was the Jags' amazing win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Exactly how you draw it up, having quarterback stumble twice and then get up and dive into an end zone as the clock's running, not feeling panicked at all about it. We had a line of 12 points for Kelsey against a projection of 10.18. Adam took the over and won. He ends up with 60-odd yards. He's 7 catches. He gets his touchdown, 19.1 points. Adam takes a 4-1 win away from you in the segment.
This is where I'm getting rattled. I had Kelsey over.
No, you had 12, didn't you?
Yeah, I had over, though. He had under.
All right, 3-2.
I'm going to have to start checking tape on this shit.
I'd written down at the time. I'd written down at the time that he took the over. So we'll check the tape. The tape.
It doesn't really matter in the end.
Results in the book. World out to a 3-2 lead through 5 weeks in this segment. So, Kev, what's great about this is, Tay can totally be had, mate. Last week he was throwing overs in all the time because he was like, I'm being too much of a pessimist. So he's got to play to his emotional side here, mate.
Oh, but what if I get emotional too? Does that count?
You're a very emotional boy, I'll tell you. We've spent a lot of time wiping each other's tears away, mate. It's been... you know how the segment works, mate? You've been playing at home?
Mate, I've got a fairly good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep telling Tay he's full of shit until he bites.
Well, I think Matty's playing on my amnesia. He's just fucking telling me I'm getting shit wrong and I probably am not anyway.
Well, he's going to say we both lost because he doesn't like either of us, so...
Oh, look at that. Taylor lost 5-0 and Kev lost 5-0.
The host, Matty, won without playing.
Yeah, mate, I can fill in the scoreboard right now. So that was Tipping Point. Well done, guys. Great job. Roll on. Mate, the way it works, of course, I'm going to bring up 5 names. Some of these are actually great because we've talked about some of these guys in different parts of the show already. So I feel like that's going to really lead to some robust conversation here. I want to start with a wide receiver who I kind of rinsed a little bit. And then you guys both kind of defended. So I'll be interested to see where this goes. But Garrett Wilson is up against Denver. He's got touchdowns in 4 of his 5 weeks. So he's clearly got the apple of Justin Fields' eye. And, mate, he's had sort of 6 catches or thereabouts most weeks. So he's catching the ball a bit. Where do you want to start with a line on this one? I'm going to throw to Kev first because he's a big defender of the Garrett Wilson, and I'd like to see where he takes this. Got an opening bid on points for him this week.
I'm going to open it at 15.
Whoa, that's aggressive.
I'll go to 16.
Go to 17.
17.5.
Ooh.
Here come the points. Doesn't have to be half points either. You can go by tenths.
I'll go 18.1.
Ooh. All right, I want to go under on that because I kind of like Denver's pass defense, and I think if Surtan's on him, they might have to go elsewhere. It might be a big Mace Taylor game.
I had my original line set at 18, and I was like, fuck 18.1 will do.
Ooh, that 0.1 might have been what gets you there, Kev, because it's funny what cents in a dollar can do, as you know, right? Just those little things can make the difference. He's currently averaging 19.04 points in full PPR. So, it's a good line. He currently is projected for 14.16 against Denver. So, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Tay, I've written this one down. It says 18.1 Kev.
And you wrote over, right?
Yeah. He said
I went over or Taylor went over? How's Matty getting confused on this one?
Because I'll wake up tomorrow and have no idea this ever happened.
Yeah, we won't remember. I'll be like, gee, you set a high line on, Josh Downs. 18.1, what are you doing, mate? Let's move to the second guy. Tight end one, Jake Ferguson. He plays Carolina this week. He has just been an absolute revelation in the last couple of weeks in this offense while CD Lamb's out. That continues. So we'll be interested to see what this position will throw up here. He's, clearly been right in that middle of the field and finding himself in the end zone a bit. Tay, Jake Ferguson, Fergie Ferg, your old boy. Where do you want to start the bidding for points for him against Carolina this week?
Remember when Bowdo let me have like 5?
Oh my God.
I don't think I'm going to let you get away with 5.
5.1.
Oh, shit. I don't know how I can do this. 5.4 now.
All right, I'll go to 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go to 9.
I'll take 10.
Give me 11.5.
12.5.
14.
Ooh. 15.
Right, you can have it.
Yeah.
Gee.
I think that he's going to be in like that 13 to 18 range, but it's where in that range you think he's going to end up. And yeah.
I think I like him for a touchdown against Carolina. Carolina's a good matchup, and I think CD's probably still going to be out another week. So, yeah, I'm taking it.
I wasn't too concerned about CD. It's a great matchup for the tight ends, but yeah, I just have a feeling that they might hit a bit of a lead here and just run it out. Carolina's offense hasn't exactly been fucking lights out against anyone.
Kev, I could throw 100 yards to you against that defense, mate.
And I run a 32-second 40-yard dash, matey. That's saying something.
Mate, I've got these shoulders of a 6-year-old girl, so I can't pass it beyond the line of scrimmage. So there you go. Just some context on Fergie here. He's got a projection of 11.84. And, mate, I had to go back in the history books to find a week where he hadn't scored at least 15 points. It was week 1. So, he's been pretty consistent. It'll be interesting to see. That 15-point line has been a fun line for us in the breakouts when it comes to tight end. So it's kind of cool that's the same line here. It really has been a test of the metal as to whether a tight end really breaks out or not. Mate, this week I've got a quarterback who we also brought up in our segment before on buys and sells. It's a player we're selling, so I'm kind of wondering where this one goes. Justin Herbert at Miami. The matchup's fantastic. He's had all those weeks earlier in the year where he's had weeks, 3 of them, where he's thrown 34 times or more. So there's volume passing out there, but how does that continue with everything falling apart around him? I'm going to go to you, Kev, to kick this one off with Justin Herbert at Miami.
Becomes 2.5.
13.
Ooh. 14.5.
Yeah, take and have it.
Ooh, nice.
Miami doesn't have much of a pass rush, but I still don't trust that O-line. Or the run game. Yeah, I think it's going to be a few mistakes here.
Jeepers, I reckon there's a chance that Herbert can get 14.5 just with his legs.
He might fucking have to.
He's currently projected for 18.84, which, and I think that's a lot to do with the matchup. Miami are currently allowing somewhere in the range of 250 passing yards per game. So there's just 10 points in that. So if you throw a touchdown or two, that gets you 18. But Herbert himself, he's clearly had that really great start, but it's going to be tough to see what's going to happen around him. He's going to have no time to get that ball out with that offensive line. So, Tay, you've got 14.5 and over on Justin Herbert. Mate, I brought up Jonathan Taylor in the earlier part of the show as well, just talking about a player who's been breaking out and playing really well and shocks me a little bit. He is the running back I'm throwing up for you this week because, again, he has a fantastic matchup. The Arizona Cardinals are coming to Indianapolis. Taylor has been scoring touchdowns all over the place, getting the volume, and he's been getting a pretty decent yards per carry as well. Tay, because he's got your first name as his surname, let's go to you. That's as good a reason as any. Jonathan Taylor versus Arizona. When you want to start the betting?
13.13.
Righto, I'm going blackjack. I'm going 21 straight off the bat.
Fuck you, he says.
21? That's wild.
22.
I'll go with the Michael Jordan. Give me 23.
All right, I'll let you have that one. I almost let you have 21, so I'll go on to 23.
Yeah, I don't know. I own him in a couple of leagues, and he went 13 first week, then nearly 30, 32, 14, 32. I just think this is another big week against Arizona.
Yeah.
This would be where I hope that fucking Daddy Dimes just rushes in 3 touchdowns. Or they just bring this fucking ghost of Anthony Richardson out on the goal line. Just see
the goal line carries up. We don't want anyone getting hurt. Hey, Rich, you're up.
He'll probably still
Tyler Warren rushing touchdown.
He'll probably still come off for a breather.
Yeah, probably, because he'll have been tired from running 7.5 yards per rush. The projection for him is 20.77. So, God, Kev, going straight to 21, I'm like, oh, wow, get your schlong out. That's a big call.
Sleepers projections have been a bit all over the place this year.
Oh, my God.
Schlong's about 21 fucking 0.0 millimeters.
Mate, that's a big number to move to. So it gets to 23. Impressive. He's currently averaging 24.26 PPR points a game this season, but as you said, it's come from 3 monsters and then 2, days that are you consider to be slightly below average days, but he's been super involved every week. He's currently the second running back and the number 3 scoring player in all of fantasy at the moment, Jonathan Taylor. So 23 and over for Kev. Time to bring up the flex player. And I'm going super flex this week, boys. I'm bringing a second quarterback.
I thought we were going to have a guess. I thought for sure you were going to throw Kyron out.
Nah. Mate, you play exotic shit, and this is the first time I've brought up a super flex, and I've saved it just for the week that you're on, mate. This is in honor of Kev. And, mate, I actually think you're a bit partial to this young man. And young is the right word. His name's Bryce Young. And he's playing at Dallas against a piss-poor Dallas secondary. And, I mean, they don't have a lot going on in defense really at all. He has had a really nice little run of it to start the year. He's had a couple of games where he's really shown up. And this Carolina team have, they've been showing that they're worthy. Where do you want to start with a bid on scoring this week for Bryce Young against Dallas? In Dallas.
Me or Taylor?
Yeah, I'm going to you, Kev.
Yeah. 16.
Sorry, Carolina at home against Dallas.
16.
16.
17.
17.9.
Want to go under?
I was wondering if Tay was going to get exotic. 17.96 like Brendan Long did the other week. It was like, Caleb, 19.36. He was getting very scientific.
It's tough because it's a good matchup, but at the same time, too, it's just he's a hard one to trust early this year. He's had 1 really good game and 4 not great.
Yeah, he's going to be a tough one to work out because his really great game too came against a team you consider to be not a fantastic matchup for a quarterback at Arizona. Yeah. So, and even that one where they blitzed Atlanta, it was the defense. So it's kind of, I don't know, he's a funny one to thumb. But I know that you sort of keep your eye on him. He's sort of someone that you've been pretty happy to sort of stay in the camp with in terms of his NFL prospect. So it was a good one to bring up for you. He's currently projected to get 17.36 this week at home to Dallas. So the line of 17.9 is really, really close. To wrap it up, I've got Garrett Wilson, Kev going 18.1 or over in the matchup against Denver. Jake Ferguson, Taylor's got 15 points or over against Carolina. Then we go to Justin Herbert at Miami, Taylor 14.5 or over. I feel like that's a good line. I feel like it's a good one to be the over on. Jonathan Taylor, 23 points or more for Kev against Arizona. And then our super flex is Bryce Young with 17.9 points or more for Kev over Dallas in Carolina. And that is our tipping point this week. The world currently leads 3 games to 2. Kev, this is your chance to really push the world out to a lead.
Oh, shit, I didn't know this counted for anything. Probably should have gone a bit higher on Justin Herbert, but that's all right. I'm pretty confident in the others.
Mate, every game we count. Of course we do. Taylor's got to make sure he gets as many pennants up on the bedroom wall as he can each year. Have you seen his bedroom? It's like a 7-year-old's. It's great.
I heard he's already ordered a trophy for this, but it's only going to be delivered if he wins.
I feel like you've met Taylor before.
It'd be great if I remembered like at least 2 of these 5 during the weekend, mate. That would be a plus.
Yeah. I can't wait till Monday when I'm like, Tay, why did you set such a high line on? And I'll just insert a random player.
Why did you go 18 points under on Drake May this week? You'd be like, what? Where'd Drake May come from?
Remember when you set a double touchdown guarantee for Marvin Mims this week? I'll be like, oh, yeah.
That'll be exactly it. So this is the torture that we're going to have with Tay on Monday. And Kev, I'm glad you're involved now because you will be great at this.
What I do.
Well, fellas, that's it. Get to wrap it up. We went nice into depth on fellas to buy and fellas to sell. And now we've got our little recap on last week's breakouts, but got in and did a great job with our tipping point. There's some fun lines in there, some compelling games, and we're going to get out of here on the Friday. Make sure you do catch G'day Gridiron tomorrow. The fellas were around midweek with their big reactions to that stunning Monday night win for the Jags, plus all the strange results that came up with no undefeated teams left in the NFL through midweek. Tay, you and I were around on the Thursday afternoon for the Supercoach half of that show's gone gangbusters lately, and we're very grateful for everyone's support in making that show a thing and making that Supercoach. Man, we've got over 300 people in that Supercoach group, and the winner in that is going to pick up about $200 worth of Aussie Gridiron Network gear. And then, of course, we are back on Sunday. Kev, you got to be back for starts of the week, don't you, mate?
Oh, mate, I wouldn't miss it. That's the whole reason I come on.
Yeah, everything else is icing. Starts of the week is cake for you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
So you're back for all of it because you're contractually obligated, mate.
Yeah, Kev had to put up with hours of our shit in this first episode, so I think if he didn't come back for Sunday, I'd be asking serious questions. But, mate, I'm not only forced to come back, I'm a force to be reckoned with. Let's fucking go.
Whoa. Okay, Kev. Mate, it's been laid out now. The gauntlet's on.
Oh, is this where you start talking up that we got to box Taylor out? Is this where you do this now, or you wait? Okay.
I'll wait till Sunday, mate, because I've got to pick the draft order yet.
Yes, it's got to prepare the right wording for it all too.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, you and I will just perfect this between now and Sunday. In the meantime, fellas, we're going to get out of here. We'll catch you all on the Sunday show, but do get around and check out the other things on the network. You can find it all at linktr.ee/Aussie Gridiron Network. You can find our merch store there. You can join our Supercoach group as well. That the group number for our league is also available here in the show notes. But go and check that show out if you haven't yet, and get around and check out everything else on the network. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you Sunday. Hooroo!
Hooroo! Thank you.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home for NFL and Australian gridiron content. Discover everything the network has to offer, including G'day Gridiron, Pastry Press, NFL, and Aussie Gridiron Today. buy merch, and win free stuff. Visit the mothership at linktr.ee/Aussie Gridiron Network. Hooroo!